Hello. Chainsaw Man Chapter 208 came out today, and we are going to go over it. So, the chapter opens with the Falling Devil, forming herself back up. She is unharmed by Yoru's attack from last chapter. She T-poses for them and uses Yoru's weapons from last chapter against her by launching them at Yoru and Denji. Yoru apparently hurt her leg, probably from the debris that fell on top of her the other chapter, so she needs Denji to carry her. Denji asks for Yoru to make another motorcycle, like the first time he ran away from the Falling Devil, but she can't do that because there is no motorcycle around her. So Denji takes Yoru into some random guy's home to take shelter, which is honestly very selfish of him. The guy is most likely going to die horribly. And then Yoru tries to turn Denji into a weapon before being stopped by Asa, who tells Denji what Yoru's gonna do, but Denji asks for her to turn him into a weapon regardless. To which Yoru couldn't do it. And the chapter ends with the Falling Devil throwing weapons at the guy's house, his apartment, and one spear pierces through Yoru's head. And that's where the chapter ends. So, not too much I can comment on this chapter, but one thing I do want to go over is the specific spear that went through Yoru's head. It's very similar to the caduceus, which is the staff of Hermes from Greek mythologies. So, this symbol is supposed to represent peace, balance, and harmony. So, in which some people suggest that because Yoru got stabbed through the head, Asa's gonna be the most dominant personality now. Whereas I think it's probably gonna be the opposite if this means anything. It's that Asa and Yoru finds a middle ground where they merge and balance into one person, which could be supporting or supportive of the theory that Yoru and Asa were a single being to begin with from the very start, because there's this Fight Club theory where it's that Asa was always the War Devil, but she was just hallucinating Yoru as her alter personality or whatever. So I think this symbol could be leaning towards that. Um, According to the mythology, it's also some guy who hits a snake with a stick, and then for some reason he turns into the female snake who was forced to reproduce with the male snake. So there's a bit of a circular thing going on. I guess it could also be a callback to the beginning of part two where Asa dies and then Yoru takes over, whereas now Yoru dies and Asa takes over. So it doesn't necessarily have to be them merging into one entity, but maybe just coming to an understanding of one another. But either way, I think Asa and Yoru's inner turmoil is gonna be resolved in the next couple chapters, especially with Yoru admitting that she doesn't want to kill Denji. She is giving in to her feelings now. But yeah, so that's my main takeaway of the chapter. Let me go over it to see what else I can talk about. Do. But overall, another pretty fast, pretty quick chapter in that it's mostly big panel, big wide double spread action based chapter. Do. But yeah, so the Falling Devil did say that she wants to give Yoru minor injuries. So chances are Yoru's not dead. But yeah, that's about all I got for the week. Let's see. Asa got possessed by Yoru by getting her head split. The sword stab is just a minor inconvenience. Falling Devil uses tank better than Yoru. If Yoru owns these weapons, I'm surprised she didn't call them back. Yeah, I think that's why Yoru doesn't have the ability to revert the weapons back to their original state, which is why she is conflicted about turning Denji into a weapon from the start. Because if she could, this really wouldn't be turning Denji into a weapon. Really wouldn't be that much of a moral issue, or anyone for that matter. Even Yuko from the beginning of part 2. Denji willingly turning into a weapon reminds you of Denji asking Makima to become her dog. In a way, yes, because in both instances, Denji was under a lot of emotional turmoil, emotional distress, and a lot of guilt. Because when he asked Makima to turn him into her dog, he was feeling very guilty about being the one to finish off Aki. He's just sick of himself. Whereas in this case, he is sick of his behavior all throughout part 2. He is filled with guilt. He doesn't really necessarily want to be a weapon because he thinks that's the best plan they got. He wants to be a weapon to atone for his sins and his crimes. So Denji is not really thinking clearly. Let's see, where was I? Let's see, maybe Yoru saw that Denji becoming a weapon as guilt would be less effective than Denji making, or Yoru making Denji become her weapon. That might be it. But I think Yoru said that the strength of a weapon is based on Asa Yoru's connection towards that thing. So I don't think she ever said anything about the weapon's feelings itself. So in theory, Denji would be the strongest weapon available yet. That being said, it's not really clear if she even can turn Denji into a weapon right now, because she tried earlier in part 2, and they were under the impression that Denji was already in love with her back then, which maybe isn't the case, but regardless, either way, it didn't work after the aquarium chapters, so there might be more to Denji Pochita than that. Thoughts on Chainsaw Man movie trailer releasing this week. I actually haven't seen the trailer yet. But overall, I've seen a bit of the character design from, I think, a couple months ago. And I do like the way that it's less CG off like the first glance. Maybe because they had more time to work on the movie as opposed to like 12 episodes of a show. So I do like the art style a lot more. Personally, for me, season 1 of Chainsaw Man, I feel like it didn't really reflect Fujimoto's art that well. I know people liked it for the most part, and I did too, but I feel there's something about the way they did season 1 that I feel like it's might be the lighting as well, because in the manga you kind of get a sense of like kind of gritty dark lighting, whereas season 1 of Chainsaw Man kind of isn't that. It's very sharp, very, I don't know the technical terms to describe it, but I am very happy with the art direction that the Reze movie seems to be going for. I think it comes out September, October. So, let's see, where was I? You like how Falling Devil stated that primordials are stronger than most of the horsemen. Yeah, and this is something that we kind of knew from the start, just by how Makima interacted with the Darkness Devil. They did like a finger pointing battle. She had some success, but then she just got stabbed and almost died. So I really like that consistency throughout. Whereas the that was something I really liked in part one, where like the Makima was like the big bad. She was the strongest entity on Earth. But then even in the face of like what's in hell, she's no match for many devils down in the dark. So that's something that I appreciate. I hope that none of the primordials ever lose a fight. That's how I hope the rest of the series go. It just like a measuring stick for like human limits even. But yeah, let's see what else. Let's see, makes you wonder about famine and death. They were also based on instinct. I think. Well, here's the thing. Here's one more thing I do want to go over. Because let me pull up a screenshot of the Falling Devil saying that. So the Falling Devil said that she is stronger than war because war is a human concept, which is interesting because if humans created it, then the only thing I can take away from this is that aliens don't exist in the world of Chainsaw Man. Because if aliens exist, they would probably had war and conflict at some point. But the Falling Devil is crediting the creation of war to humans. So either the devils are planet specific, where they haunt like Earth only, or aliens just don't exist in the world of Chainsaw Man, which is interesting to think about. Let's see. But yeah. But I think we went over most of what I wanted to go over for now. I do have to cut the stream a bit short tonight because I have to go to the airport to pick someone up. Last thing I wanted to go talk about is some comments from last week. Last week's stream, we talked a bit about the two-pointed spear. I didn't know what it was called, what a two-pointed trident is. Apparently, it's called a bident. I probably could have thought of that. I probably should have known that. I made a banger joke about Joe Biden. I think, I think the idea of Joe Biden's distant ancestor being like really sick with a spear, and that's how they got their name. That cracks me up. But yeah, another comment I had is about the artillery. Apparently, artillery is the most deadly weapon in both world wars, which makes sense because explosions kill more than bullets do people, probably. I don't remember the exact context of why we were talking about. Oh, I think it was some discussion on if machine guns was the most deadly of the world wars because that's what Yoru's arm looked like instead of a tank cannon. But nah, even if machine guns was the most deadly of World War II, it wouldn't really matter as to how Yoru's arm ability operated, because everyone in this universe forgot about the Second World War per Makima's exposition. Apparently, Pochita ate both the World War II devil and everything surrounding it, like the nuclear weapons and the Nazis. So, yeah, praise Pochita. But anyways, that's about all I got for the night. Um, But yeah, I'm gonna call it a day. Next chapter comes out in 2 weeks. We have another bi-weekly schedule. I'm talking about Joe Biden earlier, messed me up. But yeah, thanks for the comments, and we will be back in July 22nd, I believe.